and welcome to the space that gives you inspiration on work, on life, and how to balance both worlds. Every year in November, we usually and typically start to reevaluate our lives and see what we hoped to have done that particular year, what we didn't do, and all of that crazy stuff. It's inevitable because the year is coming to an end and another window of opportunity is going to be open in January. So usually by November, the reality of what the year has been starts to crystallize. And so I'd like to walk the journey of rediscovering yourself or resetting yourself and getting ready for the year with you. But also I want to share that this is also a process I took at a certain time of my life when things needed to change. And let me explain something. I didn't know then what I know now, but I want to share what that was like for me. So in around July, a friend of mine, Karen Hasasha, and I were having a conversation, and we're talking about the life cycle, and we're saying that and she was telling me that she'd read somewhere that we live our lives in cycles of 7. So every 7 years, something in our lives changes. And there's something about the number 7 that I will just allow our pastors and our preachers to tell you about. Let me not go there. But there's something very significant about the number 7. And so for us as humans, age 7, age 14, age 21, age 35, age 42, our ages in every 7 years, something happens and there's a shift in our lives every 7 years. And it reminded me of a time I'd read somewhere about a lady who every 7 years takes a year off, takes the 7th year off. Even in the scriptures, the Bible would tell the Israelites that, plant for 6 years, and in the 7th year, leave the land to be bare. Leave it alone, okay? To kind of rejuvenate, to start again. And so in the same spirit, even us as humans, we go through that phase where there is a change and there is a shift in our lives. And when I thought about it, I realized how true that was. Because I could remember very significant things that happened for me at age 17, age 14, age 21, and then, age 28 and age 35. I think for me, the ones that came out most were age 28 and age 35. So I turned 37 in a few weeks. So I remember my 35th birthday like it was just like yesterday. And I know that right now I'm going through the start of a cycle. So the way a cycle would work really is there's a certain form of death, a certain form of rising, a certain form of doing, and then a certain form of death again, all over again. So by my 35th, there was a death that was going on, and now I am moving towards the life and moving towards the doing before, again, by age 42, there will be a certain kind of death that will happen. So that's the way the life cycle works. So for some of you, this exercise happened for me at age 28 is where I started from. And it was a cycle where I went through a self-discovery. And I would like to invite you to do the same thing. I walked away from my life, went away to discover myself. And so I would like us to go through a series on self-discovery this month. Now, where does self-discovery start from? I believe that the core starts from your self-identity. Who are you? I don't mean what do you do, but I just mean the very essence of self. You. Who are you? And for me in that time, I realized that there's 4, I don't know whether I should say there are 4 phases or there's 4 types, but I think in my head they were stages of self-identity. The first one for me was creative identity. In describing who I am, not what I like, not what I'm good at, but who is this? Who is this person? Who is this one, right? The first one was creative identity, and it came from at the point that God created me. Who was he creating? I don't know if that makes sense. Who was he creating? So that I can start to define my self-identity. So the first thing was, at the point of creation, God had created so many things, right? The plants, the trees, the whatever, everything. And then he created man and gave him dominion. So at that point, I was man who was given dominion, right? And so at that point, I am God's highest form of creation. Like when he thinks of all creation, I am the highest form of creation. That immediately does something inside my mind. There's a certain shift inside me that tells me that I'm not normal, by virtue of the fact that when he was creating everything, he said, then human. So I'm a human being before anything else. I'm not a plant. I'm not an animal. I'm not a dog. I'm not a bitch. So when people say, "Oh, you're a bitch," I'm like, "Who? I'm not a dog. I'm a human being. God's highest form of." That's a first sense. The first thing about my identity. I am a human being. God's highest form of identity. Then I realized that the next thing was when God made me in his image, that means I am a human being in the image of God. And so that means I'm not just a human being, I'm a spirit. Oh, damn. Things got a bit complicated. At that point, I am a spirit. This one, this person here is a spirit. So I exist in a human body, but I have a spirit. Yo. When I was realizing these things about myself, there were certain shifts that started to happen inside my mind. I was just like, so I'm not. I wish I knew Luganda really well, but I'm not just your typical. I'm not air. It just blew my mind for who is this person, right? If I didn't have a name, who is this? Who's the person before you on this screen? Yeah, I am a human body, God's highest form of creation, but I'm also a spirit. So that took me. Whew, I was like, yo, woo! At the point of creation, that's what I was. And then the third thing, at the point of creation, the Bible says, when he says I'm made in the image of God, it also says I am a God. I'm not small waters, you people. You are not small waters. You are not a simple thing. Do you click? So knowing that is who you are, a God. Friends, I was blown away. To be honest, when my discovery started, at the point when I would even shake, because I was just like, hey, this is me. This is me. So I'm a human body. I am a spirit. I am a God. Yo, that's mind-boggling, right? And the fourth thing that for me I think was very important for me at the point of self-identity and when I was looking at creative identity is that on top of that, I'm an heiress. So an heiress is a princess, and you own the things your father. Like I don't need to work at anything. I am an heiress. I own I own the world. It's, whew, damn, guys. I don't know how to explain what I went through, and I don't know if you're feeling it yourself. But let me not talk too much about this, because there's 3 other steps, or 3 other phases, or 3 other levels, or 3 other, I don't know what to call them, of self-identity. Then we come to the second identity, and this one I call it the default identity, almost like factory settings, like at the point of birth. Like if you had to come back onto this earth, where you would come back to, you know what I mean? And so for this one, I look at things like your genes. Like you literally have no power over the nose that you will get when you're born. You can have power over it later. You can do a nose job, whatever. But at the point of birth, that's the nose you got from your mother, from your father. I keep laughing at my own fingers, like my hands. They look like an old woman's hands. I got them from my mom, and she got them from her mom. Genetics worked, you know what I mean? Genes are your default identity. They are who you are. Like they are you. You know, like you can't put my hands there and I'm like, those are not my, they're my hands, they're here. You know what I mean? So your genes are your default identity. There's your sex is a default identity. If you are you are born a woman or you are born a man, that's your default identity. Like when you are born, you know what I mean? You come out looking like a particular sex, or you are a particular sex. So at that point, that your sex, so your genes, your sex are your default identity. Your personality, you see, your personality doesn't come from your experiences and your world. No. You have a default personality. Like when God was creating you, there is a personality that he placed inside you. When you come out, certain things might change, but that your personality is default. It came with you in your package. When you are being born, your package had your personality embedded inside it already. Like it didn't need worldviews, it didn't need, no. And that's why you'll find that children, babies, very early on, you can tell that this is a strong child. They've not seen it from anybody, but you can see that this is a strong child. You can see that this is a quiet child. You can see just from at the point of birth, a few weeks in, you can already tell. You'll see moms saying things like, my child has a very strong personality. My child has, because personality is ingrained in the very fabric of yourself at the point of birth. Okay, so that for me is my second stage of self-identity. Then the third stage is the societal identity, and really that comes from your societal roles as maybe a daughter, a sister, a niece, a friend, a wife, a mother. So what the society expects of you, or what they see of you, or what they've defined you are because you are a woman, what they've defined you are because you are a wife, what they've defined you are. So that is a societal identity, and you come with it. Like when I walk out the door and and people see a woman, or they see me with a ring, or they see me with my children, I am defined as a mother, because they can't say, oh, she's a father. No, I am a mother. You know what I mean? When my daughter has a child, I am called a grandmother. I'm not called a mother. I'm not called a grandfather. I'm not called an uncle. At that point, I am defined as a grandmother. So that is my that's who I am. That is me at that point. I hope that makes sense. You know what I mean? So there is a societal identity, or a societal definition of who you are. And so for me, that's an important thing to take note of. Then the fourth one is, and I call it environmental identity. What do I mean? It really comes from your experiences in life. So your past, your present, the way you were raised, in which family you were raised. For those of you who are thinking, so I'll give you an example. I was born into the Pachuto family. So being in the Pachuto family as a daughter of, actually I should say correctly, I'm from the Ajibo clan, I'm from the Malakwang family. I can't do anything about it. That's me. I can't claim to be Randy's. I can't claim to be, I don't know what I could claim, but I know I don't look like it, and people tell me so much. But even if they try to ingrain in me that I am something else, the truth is I come from the Ajibo clan, from the Malakwang family, from the Pashoto family. Like that it doesn't matter. I cannot separate myself from it. Even if I go and denounce my father, denounce, or I don't know what, whatever denouncing I would ever want to do. The truth is, my roots are from the Ajibu clan, from the Malakwang family. That is where I come from. So now that one is my default identity at the point of birth. That is who I am. But the environmental identity I want to talk about is, by virtue of the fact that I was born in the Malakwang family, in the Ajibo clan, in the Malakwang family, in the Pashutho home, there are certain experiences that I experienced that are different from somebody who was born from the Ruteitsire family or from I don't know what clan elsewhere. By virtue of the fact that I was born into that family, there are certain experiences that I have of my past, depending on my parents' decision, depending on my grandparents' decisions, on where we lived, how we lived, who we lived with. I then had certain experiences. So those experiences then gave me something called an environmental identity. That identity comes from is my character, right? That one. I mean, we can be two people in the same family. I mean, me and my brother can be born, not can be born, we are obviously born in the same family. Manuela, are you okay? Are you all right? Are you all right? Yes, I am. Anyway, you're born in the same family, right? Both of you cannot have the same personality. And yet you're raised in the same, and remember, personality is in your default identity. So you're raised in the same environment, right? In most cases, you have the same character. That is environmental identity. That one is affected by the environment around you, okay? So for this one, who you are, so they start to say, oh, she's a happy child, oh, she's this, oh, he's this. I mean, both my brothers and I, when you put us together, our personalities are different, but our character is very similar. So I'll give you an example. We have very high, Baba, should I say high levels of integrity? What should I say? It's something like that. So we are very different in personality, but because of the way and the environment that we were raised in, we have very high levels of integrity. So we are constantly making sure that we are walking straight. I think my mother zing melez made sure that we are always trying to walk in line. So we're always constantly trying to walk in a straight line by character, but not by personality. By personality, we couldn't be more different. So then they will say that, oh, she has high levels. That is who they see me as. That's my character. Our philosophies are usually the same. Philosophy of life, philosophy of education. While we are different, we still have certain philosophies of life that are very similar because we were born in the same environment. So for me, that's what I call the environmental identity. So all of those together, your creative identity, your default identity, your societal identity, your environmental identity, together give you something called your self-identity, who you truly are. And now, as you've learned, there's some parts of this identity which honestly shouldn't determine who you are, especially in the future. They're who you are, but they shouldn't determine who you are in the future. But I know you've heard all of that before. So now that we know what self-identity is, we'll now move on to self image, and I'll do that in our next video. But for those of you who are finding something really interesting about this self-discovery, I'd like to invite you into a space of self-discovery, and that is the Purpose Circuit. All the details are in the description box below, but really it is an annual membership of people who are walking in their purpose, who are going through a journey of self-discovery. And I'd like to invite you into this space, and where you yourself can be a part of discovering who you are, but also walking with people who are on a journey of self-discovery. I want to invite you to the Annual Personal Planning Getaway, where we'll be planning our personal lives, which also includes our work, because our work is actually a part of our lives. And we'll be planning for the year 2023, and I'd like to invite you to be a part of it. All the details on the venue and the fees are in the description box, or the first comment under this video. Until next time, see ya, bye bye.